Coming up on the Good Morning Show, tackling stolen guns in South Georgia, what one local department found and their message to people to keep guns off the streets.
Plus, surveying the damage. National Weather Service teams investigating 4 tornadoes in the Big Bend in South Georgia.
Trusted, local. The WCTV Good Morning Show starts now.
All right, welcome to the Good Morning Show. We are halfway through the work week on this hump day. We see the light at the end of the tunnel, ready for a weekend after a pretty active beginning to the week.
How about a beautiful day we had yesterday?
Oh my gosh, right? We've kind of had a little bit of a grab bag of a forecast, right? Like Monday, we had all of that craziness. Yeah, 4 tornadoes, crazy. Yeah. And then yesterday, a beautiful day. I mean, polar opposite days. It was a little chilly in the morning, though.
Oh, now we're going to complain.
I'm not complaining. No.
Just checking.
But it was.
Third order complaint.
No.
Okay.
I was just acknowledging.
Okay, fair. It is a little
I
chilly.
forgot that it feels like spring, which is what we want. We don't want to jump all the way into the middle of summer.
We had that week, the beginning of the month, where it was starting at 70 every morning. Yeah. It was kind of sticky. Now, that's we're back to April here. We had a gorgeous day yesterday. Yeah. I love the forecast for today and for tomorrow. I mean, these are the kind of days in the middle of July we're going to be going back. Oh, remember that week in April where we had 50 in the morning and 76 in the afternoon? Yes, give me more of this. And I do think we get it for a couple of more days. So it is very comfortable, very clear out there, very dry out there. And that's really part of the deal. When the air remains dry, you get the overnight temperatures that come down a little bit. It feels more like a spring morning. And you get those bright blue skies. You get all that sunshine. And it doesn't feel so icky, sticky, gross in the afternoon, even if temperatures start climbing through the mid-70s. And I think tomorrow we'll see some temperatures that want to flirt with 80 again. But we're still talking about lower moisture levels. And that'll also play a factor in the forecast heading towards Friday. I see some 40s for Mariana and for Dothan. I saw a couple of more 40s earlier this morning. Perry's there at 49, Live Oak's there at 45, and then we've got 55 at the Tallahassee Airport, or 50 in Thomasville, or 51 in Valdosta. Now, there is a little breeze, not as breezy as it was at times yesterday. It's more from the north. That'll be the main wind direction. The skies, they're going to stay pretty clear with this dry air in place and high pressure as our big weather player. More will likely reassert itself to our south, and I think that's going to pose a little problem for this boundary trying to get here on Friday. I wonder if this boundary is going to struggle to find some moisture to work with. So at this point, our rain chances stay really low. There is more cool and dry air behind that boundary. We'll talk about all that. We'll break down the full forecast in just a few minutes.
In South Georgia, a Seminole County school teacher is facing drug charges after officials say she was in possession of meth. Deputies arresting Shannon Reynolds. Officials say on March 26th, a clear plastic bag was found in the teacher's restroom at Seminole County Middle High School. Following the discovery, deputies arrested Reynolds. She has since bonded out.
In Valdosta, a death investigation is underway after a man is found dead during a welfare check. Now, Valdosta police officers went to a home on West Magnolia Street Sunday. Family members say they hadn't heard from a relative. VPD says they found a man dead in his bedroom. The Georgia Bureau of Investigation will determine the cause of death. And Valdosta police are asking the community to help get guns off city streets. VPD says between January and April, they've seized more than 30 guns, and several of them have illegal automatic switches. They say that during that same time frame, more than 45 guns were reported stolen from cars.
Over 45 is ridiculous. I mean, it's putting more guns on our street, more guns in the hands of people who are not capable of knowing how to take care of the firearms. We just can't stress that enough. You know, help us help our community by taking a few extra precautions.
VPD is reminding people to always remove guns from your car. Use a gun lock and write down the serial numbers just in case your gun is stolen.
At the Georgia Capitol, the state's Chamber of Commerce is warning business owners about possible hits to their bottom line with new tariffs in play.
Yeah, as Abby Kasoris explains, Georgia leaders believe that everyone will feel the impacts of rising costs.
The Georgia Chamber of Commerce releasing a report that shows tariffs could impact virtually every business in our state. One of their top concerns is one of the state's top imports, car parts and vehicles. Most move through the port of Savannah and Brunswick onto our highways, onto lots across Georgia and all over the southeast.
I do not think the tariffs is going to pay off.
Tony Butler is a used car salesman. He's getting calls from people priced out of buying new. He's good now, but tariffs on car parts needed for repairs will impact his bottom line.
When your hands are forced you don't have a lot of choices.
The Georgia Chamber of Commerce President Chris Clark warns against increasing or adding more tariffs.
There might be that short-term pain that everyone keeps talking about. We just can't afford much of that pain.
Clark says on the flip side, they're hearing from international companies looking to reshore, many here in Georgia. The White House saying Tuesday tailor-made trade deals are the goal.
You said the president has captivated the attention of the world. Absolutely he has. And it's about time we have a president in the Oval Office who is putting the world on notice.
This is a look at how some of Georgia's largest companies are doing after the stock market closed on Tuesday. The chamber says every Georgian will likely feel the impact of the tariffs at work, the grocery store, or the mall. Last year, Georgia set a record for international trade, importing more than $145 billion worth of goods and exporting roughly a third, $53 billion. In Atlanta, I'm Abby Kasouras.
At the Florida Capitol, a bipartisan effort to ban oil drilling near the Apalachicola River is moving forward. The bill unanimously passed the House State Affairs Committee, sending it to the House floor. Co-sponsor Jason Schoaf says he hopes to bring it up for a vote next week. It would ban oil drilling within 10 miles of certain marine estuaries, including the Apalachicola River Basin.
And Senator Simon has a version in the Senate. We'll have to reconcile the two versions, but absolutely, I'm very optimistic that we're going to shut this oil operation down in Apalachicola Bay.
Hundreds of people protested against the drilling plans outside DEP headquarters in December. The state already granted an exploratory drilling permit to the Louisiana-based company seeking one, but it's caught up in the courts.
Really, what we've been seeing a lot of is very large pines that have been snapped. We did see one single wide mobile home that was completely destroyed.
National Weather Service teams confirming 2 severe storms, spinning up 4 tornadoes on Monday. 2 in Leon County and 2 in South Georgia. Now, the National Weather Service confirming an EF0 tornado in southwestern Leon County and an EF1 in the Killearn Lakes area, which crossed into Grady County. The National Weather Service also confirming both tornadoes in South Georgia were EF1s, with one in Grady County having peak winds of 110 miles per hour. Now, we found damage in Colquitt County yesterday near Georgia 202 and Lower Meigs Road. The NWS says that the tornado in Colquitt had winds up to 95 miles per hour. Several trees were snapped and some buildings were damaged. One family says that they're blessed that the damage wasn't worse.
My sister-in-law told me to take cover, and we just went and got in our closet, and within less than 10 seconds it was over, and we realized that our home was fine, praise God, and had a lot of damage, but little Charlie and John and I were fine.
Now, we've got more details about the damage and the tornado ratings on our website. That, of course, is WCTV.tv.
And before we move on real quick, can we talk about maybe what the difference is between an EF0 and an EF1?
So when you get to tornadoes, the way you determine how strong it was, it's not like a hurricane where you measure wind speeds, right? With a tornado, you go back up the next day and you survey the damage. And based on what kinds of structures, how big the trees were, if it were brick buildings or wood buildings and how the damage is, that's how you determine the level, EF0, EF1, EF2. And then you estimate the winds based on what it would take to put kind of that damage like that against those trees. So when you're talking big trees, now you're into the EF1s and EF2s and more.
Okay.
We rarely get those around here. Most of the tornadoes that we're going to experience around here are going to be EF0s that damage the very small trees, and they take some shingles off the house. But sometimes you can get those really nasty ones like we saw last year during May.
So I was going to bring that up because I know this was kind of like a little hit too close to home for a lot of people here in the Tallahassee area or in Leon County, because I believe last year those were EF2 tornadoes. Am I wrong to say that? But
I think at least one of them was.
Well, yeah. So is that the scale? Does it go to an EF, like higher than EF2?
It keeps going. It keeps going. But again, it's not the same. We want to equate it like a hurricane, where it's a Category 1. Category. It doesn't work that way. And this category hurricanes, we can measure the wind speeds in the storm. With a tornado, you have to go out afterwards, survey the damage, make sure it's the right kind of radial pattern, and you want to make sure what kind of structures were damaged. The bigger the structures damaged, the stronger the winds had to be to do that, the higher on that EF scale we're talking about.
Gotcha, thank you. Sure. In national news, the Department of Justice will scale back in its legal fight against cryptocurrency fraud. It says the Justice Department will no longer pursue litigation related to regulatory aspects of digital assets. The change comes after Trump issued an executive order directing the department to focus on cases investigating embezzlement and scams.
American shoppers are bracing for economic impact as President Trump's reciprocal tariffs went into effect on goods from almost every country on earth.
Yeah, the White House says countries are coming to them ready to make a deal, but with no agreements. Financial markets sank early this morning. CBS's Jared Hill has those details.
We're making deals, and people are paying tariffs.
President Trump championed his new dose of so-called tariff medicine as he says countries are flocking to negotiate with the new reciprocal tariffs hitting overnight.
They're giving us everything.
The president says leaders from Japan and South Korea are headed to the U.S. to negotiate. Vietnam and Zimbabwe have said they would scrap tariffs on U.S. products. The EU has said it'll eliminate tariffs on industrial goods and cars if the U.S. does the same. And no progress with a defiant China. Instead, a 104% tariff after Beijing refused to drop its 34% tariff on U.S. goods, likely meaning more expensive electronics and clothing. Imported produce largely spared, most coming from Canada and Mexico, which have been exempted. But food industry experts warn some prices may rise quickly for some perishable staples like bananas.
Fresh products, because you can't build up inventories and there's a limited lifespan, you will feel that quickly, maybe as soon as a week or 10 days.
On Capitol Hill, some Republican senators challenged the White House's strategy during a hearing with the U.S. Trade Representative.
I'm just trying to figure out whose throat I get to choke if it's wrong, and who I put up on a platform and thank them for the novel approach that was successful if they're right.
As financial markets continue their roller coaster.
It's still early innings in seeing what the final shape of tariff policy for the United States is going to be.
Jared Hill, CBS News, New York.
Still to come on the Good Morning Show, a new documentary looks at the lives of an iconic couple in music. We have that and more in entertainment news.
All right, we keep talking about really nice weather. I call it the good stuff. You know, I love that 50-80 split. I think we're going to be awfully close, maybe for the next 3 days. We'll talk about that forecast and what kind of changes are in store in just a couple of minutes.